Well, there's one thing I'm sure of. This is his last year with the Lakers. He's not going to play with the Lakers next year. I've always said I'd like to see him finish in Cleveland. Like I said, I'd love to see him finish his career in Cleveland because I've been on the record. I thought he should have never left Cleveland.
You back at the crib.
Cleveland.
I want to see you back in Cleveland. By the way, James Harden and Donovan Mitchell already been pitching to the front office that they want Bron back in Cleveland.
I think he's going to go to Cleveland and end there. I think he's going to go play for the Cavs next year, and that'll be the sign off. That he'll end where it started.
And once this season is over, I think he goes back to Cleveland, finish it up there.
LeBron James is going back to Cleveland. The king returning to the kingdom. The prodigal son coming full circle. 4 championships deep, 40 years old, still defying everything we thought we knew about age and athleticism and longevity, and now pointing his compass northeast, back toward Lake Erie, back toward Akron, back toward the city that made him and the city he made immortal in 2016.
Can y'all imagine, can you imagine how much lettuce LeBron James is going to make next year if he decides to do that farewell tour? How much the NBA and Nike is going to make if they decide to do that farewell tour?
This isn't speculation. This isn't a fever dream cooked up in the offseason. The voices speaking on this are credible, connected, and loud. The energy isn't building toward a maybe. The energy is building toward an inevitability. Let's start with the Cavaliers themselves, because people are sleeping on what Cleveland quietly assembled this season, and it is genuinely alarming for the rest of the Eastern Conference. Donovan Mitchell, one of the most lethal closers in the game. Evan Mobley, a defensive force who is only getting better. Jarrett Allen, a wall in the paint. And then, like a plot twist nobody fully saw coming, they added James Harden. James Harden, a perennial all-star who, by every account, is still putting up all-star numbers and still capable of being a difference maker when the lights get bright. This front office didn't just tinker, they went for it. And when you add a playmaker with Harden's resume, someone who's been in high-pressure situations, who's seen playoff basketball at the highest level, who can share the load with Mitchell and give that offense a completely different dimension, you're not building a team that's happy to make the second round and go home. You're building a team with genuine championship aspirations.
Needed, another playmaker, someone that's been there, kind of been in this situation before, and they added James, like you said, perennial all-star, who's still putting up all-star numbers.
And they still doing this pod.
Gives, Donovan Mitchell another ball handler guy who can make shots at the late in the game, but also those.
Now, layer on top of all that, what if LeBron James walked through that door? The players in Cleveland are already recruiting him. Harden and Mitchell have reportedly been pitching the front office directly, not quietly, not through back channels, openly, because they know what LeBron James does to a locker room, to a franchise, to a city's belief in itself. They've seen what he turns teams into, and they want it. And here's the part that makes this whole thing feel like it was written by someone who understands narrative better than any sports executive alive. LeBron himself hasn't shut it down, not even close. He showed up to the All-Star Weekend press conference. Reporters pressed him about his future, about retirement, about next season, and he gave them absolutely nothing. Calm, measured, smiling like a man who knows exactly what he's doing. When I know, you'll know. That's it. That's the whole answer. In LeBron James's world, silence is strategy. Always has been. Now, let's talk about Los Angeles, because you cannot tell this story without honestly addressing what the Lakers' situation actually looks like right now. The franchise made their pivot. They traded for Luka Dončić. The next era has a new face, a new voice, a new identity. And as much as LeBron has meant to that organization, and he has meant everything to it, this is no longer his team. The math on the roster doesn't work with both LeBron's contract demands and Luka's max deal eating into the cap simultaneously. The Lakers need flexibility. They need to build around their young franchise cornerstone. And LeBron, a man who has never in his life been content playing second fiddle, doesn't need to spend the twilight of his career in someone else's movie. The people who understand both the basketball and the business side of this are being direct about it.
From LeBron, and if you're Bron, you don't want to go on this big farewell tour in the Lakers uniform. Just close that chapter of LeBron James and move on and let Luka take over this franchise.
And that's fair. That is a completely legitimate thing to weigh. But here's what that conversation misses. LeBron James already has homes. He already has business ventures operating at full capacity regardless of where he plays basketball. His stake in Liverpool FC doesn't care what city he suits up in. Spring Hill Entertainment doesn't need him in LA to function. His Nike partnership is bigger than any geography. The man has built an empire that runs whether he's in Akron, Los Angeles, or Cleveland, Ohio. The idea that LeBron needs to be in LA for his business interests to survive is simply not as airtight as it used to be. And frankly, if you want to talk about making money, the farewell tour argument is the most financially compelling case of all. Think about what a confirmed LeBron James final season in Cleveland would generate. Every single road game becomes a pilgrimage. Families buying tickets months in advance so their kids can say they saw LeBron James play in person before it's over. Parents dragging their 6-year-olds to arenas across the country, and those kids will tell their kids someday.
Can you imagine how much lettuce LeBron James is going to make next year if he decides to do that farewell tour? How much the NBA and Nike is going to make if they decide to do that farewell tour?
That's not an exaggeration. That's economics. The NBA would market this farewell tour with everything they have. Nike would build campaigns around it. Every franchise in the league would run promotions for the night LeBron comes to town. The commercial machinery around a LeBron James goodbye season would be unlike anything professional sports has manufactured since Kobe's final year. And Kobe scored 60 in his last game in a Staples Center that was vibrating at a frequency we may never hear again. LeBron can match that energy, maybe exceed it, because LeBron is going back to where he started. And Kobe ended where he started, in purple and gold, and the world stopped to watch. Now the legacy conversation, because some people want to push back and say LeBron doesn't need this. He has 4 championships. He's already the argument. He doesn't have to do anything else to prove anything to anyone. And that's true, completely true. But here's the counterpoint that actually matters. Michael Jordan played for the Washington Wizards at the end of his career. 2 years, aging, diminished, sometimes painful to watch. And did it destroy his legacy? Did it chip away at the monument? Not even slightly. Michael Jordan is as mythological today as he has ever been. The Wizards' years are a footnote, maybe a conversation piece, certainly not a defining chapter.
Michael Jordan's Wizards years did not ding to the nth degree Michael Jordan. He is as big now. I mean, he hasn't played in 30 years.
So, the argument that LeBron risks anything by playing another year, another 2 years, is simply not supported by the historical record. The question isn't whether LeBron can afford to keep playing. The question is, can he afford not to, given what's sitting in Cleveland waiting for him? A championship-caliber roster, players actively recruiting him, a city with a permanent place in its heart for him, an ending to the story that would be so perfect, so cinematic, so emotionally complete that every documentary filmmaker in the world should already be booking flights to Ohio. This is also about Bronny. Let's not skip over that. LeBron James made it publicly known that one of his goals, one of the genuine, heartfelt, father-driven goals of his final years in the league, was to share a court with his son. And there are conversations swirling about Bronny James potentially following his father to Cleveland. Father and son, in Ohio, closing the circle together. If that happens, if that actually happens, you are watching something that has never occurred in the history of professional basketball at this level. You are watching legacy become literal.
Brian and Bronny to Cleveland confirmed be here?
Yes, it's done.
Confirmed. That word carries weight. Here is the bottom line. Every thread of this story points in the same direction. The Lakers situation has a natural resolution. The Cavaliers roster is built to compete right now. The players in Cleveland are calling for him. The business logic holds. The narrative logic is perfect. The basketball logic, Mitchell, Harden, Mobley, Allen, and LeBron, is legitimately terrifying for every team in the Eastern Conference. And LeBron James, at 40 years old, with every single thing he has ever wanted already secured, with a legacy already carved into the marble of basketball history, has one final opportunity to do something that even he has never done. End a story exactly the way it should end. Not like Marlon Brando in his later years, fading out. Not like Elvis, diminished and distant from his peak. But like a man who chose his moment, who wrote his own conclusion, who picked up the pen and drew the last line himself. Go home, LeBron. The city is ready, the roster is ready, the story is ready. And if the past 20 years of watching this man have taught us anything, he's ready too.